Hello, this is David Braun with Automated Valuation Technologies Incorporated, and today we're going to talk a little bit about my new book, The Valuation Analyst, Research in Extracting Adjustment Rates. Now, first, let me tell you that I received a phone call this morning from an appraiser friend that said, David, I'd like to buy your book, but regression just won't work out here in the country where I appraise. So let me just start out by saying this book, Research in Extracting Adjustment Rates, is not about regression analysis. It does touch on mathematical and statistical methods to extract adjustment rates, just the same as it talks about common sense and appraisal principles and other ways that you do it. In fact, the book really is intended about researching this subject and establishing some facts that we can all agree on. So let's start. I gave you a specific question, and to answer this question, let's look at what a stable market is. Let's first define that. Now, a stable market is where the dates of sale have no effect on the sales prices. The dates of sale have no effect on the sales prices. So we basically know what a stable market is. This is just a more statistical way to define it. Now, we also gave a little example that if there was a perfect market, the $200,000 house would sell a year later for $200,000. Now, in appraising, there is no perfect market. It's kind of like unicorns, fairies, and hobbits. They're good stories, but they don't exist. We know as appraisers that if a house is worth around, in this case, $200,000, we don't expect it to sell exactly for $200,000. It might sell for $210,000. It might sell for $201,000. It might sell for $198,000. As appraisers, we know that. Now, random variance is something that might be a little bit new to appraisers, and what that is kind of defining the amount that the actual value might vary. Now, the random variance in a market is determined by its market efficiency, the efficiency in the market, and that's determined by how homogeneous the properties are, how informed and knowledgeable buyers and sellers are, and there's several more things that make a market efficient and not efficient. But that has to do with the random variance. But as appraisers, we know that there is random variance in every actual real property market. Now, in this question, we said, what if the randomness was a plus or minus 5%? And what you would do then is you would vary the exact sales price, say $200,000, and this would be the possibilities: a -5, a -4, a -3, a -2, a -1%, 0%, 1%, 2, 3, 4, and 5%. So there's, I think, maybe 11 possibilities. And what we say when something is random, it just happens by chance. This, if we had one more possibility, be 12, we could just roll the dice and see what we get. But that's really how it occurs. So what is the lowest if you're in a plus or minus 5% random market, randomness in a market? What is the lowest that a $200,000 house could sell based just on chance? And that would be $190,000 would be the lowest. What would be the most it could sell for? Well, the most it could sell for would be $210,000. So what we're saying is anytime a house sells in a market that has a random variance or randomness of plus or minus 5%, it could sell just by chance between $190,000 and $210,000. Okay, so let's get to the questions that we had. What is the maximum change in price based solely on chance? And the answer would be $20,000. The first sale could have sold for $190,000, and the second sale a year later of the same property could have just by chance sold for $210,000, and that's $20,000. What percent change in price does that represent? That would be 10.53%. So we know kind of the worst answer we could get, the most incorrect answer we could get would be 10.5%. Now, let's go back and think again, just to reestablish the correct answer. What is the correct answer for this stable market? Well, the correct answer for this stable market is 0%. Remember, it's supposed to be 0%. But it actually could get a return as bad as 10.53%. This sale kind of indicated the market was going up at 10.53% per year. We know the answer is 0, so we know we can get a pretty nasty answer. Now, when we look at some of the stuff that we do in the book, we can set up, for example, the value is 200,000. I've got plus or minus 5%. Here is the first sale, and it's plus or minus 5%. I can hit this button and it'll calculate for me. See, it hit 208. And then the second resale, it's based on plus or minus 5% of 200. When I click the button, it calculates. Then I can figure the change in value over time between these two. So by chance, we can see you might get 2% one time. You might see appreciation rate of 3%. Remember, the answer is 0%. You might see 7%. And what's the worst you could see? Well, we answered that earlier. The worst answer could be 10.53%. So what we've done here then, I'm going to look at the text box here, is we have recognized some mathematical facts for this particular situation. Now, and the facts are that in a plus or minus 5% for a $200,000 price, we could have significant indications of, in this case, of the percentage of change in value over time. Now, what do we make of these facts? Now, the book mainly gathers these facts so we can all get on the same page. And then it talks a little bit about what do we make of these facts when you're an appraiser trying to decide what your due diligence is. And when you are a reviewer or underwriter, you're kind of the flip side of that coin. And then what do you expect of the appraiser? So that's the ramifications of the facts. But the book mainly gathers the facts, and it talks quite a bit about the ramifications with the idea that if we can get the facts, and appraisers and underwriters and reviewers, educators, state appraisal boards and commissions, if we can all get on the same page, then we can begin to move forward. I hope you got the answer right. Thank you.